very good afternoon to you, coming live from the CJ's court. How have you been? You know, it's been a crazy week in a sense. Things just getting heated up. Interesting how Kenyans are so interested in the American politics, like you can literally split the country into a Biden and Trump camp. And so it was very interesting with the elections in the past week that we had. But nevertheless, we still have our own issues right here at home. So I've got a great panel. We always say we set up the jury, but then the verdict is with you. So please share the stream, host a watch party, invite your friends, call in all those who need to watch this because it's going to be really, really exciting. I've got, for the very first time on CJ's court, a young lady who is I wouldn't say an activist, but a youth leader in Machakos County, having hopes and aspirations for 2022 as well. Macy Muthama, it's good to have you here.
Thank you very much.
All right, and then I've got a gentleman who is not new. CJ's court is home for him. And of course, he's a security expert, but you cannot separate security from politics as well. So he's also in a lot of the political space. Mbijiwe Mwenda, who is here with us. And then we've got, she is the declared aspirant for the senatorship in Vihiga County 2022. And I thought she was kidding. Then she says she's not playing any games. So if you're in Vihiga, pay attention.
Yeah.
Right there. Ruth Mbogo, it's good to have you.
Asante sana.
All right. Okay, so go ahead and share. If you've not yet subscribed to our YouTube channel, CJ Atemo, kindly subscribe right now. Like, comment on, and share. I'm looking forward to having great interactions. And please let us know your thoughts as well. Today, we want to talk about this BBI thing because, you know, it's all over the place. The truth is, or rather, my assumption is a lot of people have not even read it. But we have got very strong positions about BBI. And today we want to just talk about it and get to know what is really in that document and why are people taking the kind of strong positions that they are taking. One of my interest observations has been that the people who oppose BBI in Kenya support Trump in the US. And then the guys who support the BBI every year support Biden in the US. Mbijiwe, let me begin with you. Though I know you're a Trump supporter, but why is that generally?
I think there's a feeling of, there's an interconnectivity in political science.
Right.
Amongst people who support the likes of leadership styles that Donald Trump has. It's called realism in political science, where such people tend to believe in strong leaders who believe in the power of the state, the power of the military, the strength of a nation, the nationality in a nation. And so many of us personally subscribe to that kind of mentality. I believe in patriotism, strong patriotism, where people love their country, go out there and put their country first. Trump puts America first. Mbijiwe puts Meru and Kenya first. And that's why such a man is very attractive to me in the political sphere. The same goes to BBI, because BBI, for once, is trying to bring power closer to the power players. People thought it's going to weaken the presidency and create a ceremonial presidency and give the power to a prime minister, and that's not the draft that came out. We still have a strong president who's the power and the center of national unity, is a figure of national unity. When you have such a man, then you can talk of realism, because that man pushes the agenda for patriotism, for nationalism, for power of the state, and therefore, for me, Trump and BBI are one and the same.
I know that the two ladies are Biden-Harris supporters.
Yes.
Any particular reason?
Personally, I'd say that my strong support for Biden comes in not necessarily because of Biden himself as an individual, but because of Kamala Harris.
Right.
She comes out to me as a very strong and bold woman, a woman who knows what she wants and goes for it, a woman who has a track record of defending the society. And in fact, for me, my reasons actually supersede just general reasons, but actually, in a way, personal, in a way to me. Because I've had people in the past who, the moment Kamala Harris declared to run for presidency, I've had people who tell me, you know, I see a lot of you in her, and there are certain qualities that you share with her. So for me, that the fact that she's bold, she's strong, she's energetic, she represents, you know, she represents a majority of aspirations of women. And for me, in fact, hopefully that when the results come out, that if she wins, you know, for many women who are aspiring to be in leadership, if she wins, this is a sign for women in leadership that, you know, women can actually get a seat at the top, at the big table, yeah, with the big boys. And personally, I'd wish to say that I look forward to that, because I know that a win for her is going to be an inspiration to so many young women out here, most of us who are trying to join politics. And hopefully, again, it's been projected also that, you know, in case, whether she wins, whether Biden wins this election or not, she stands a high chance of being the first female, you know, president of America. So if this doesn't turn out as Biden supporters hope, we are looking at 2020, is it 2026?
It's another 4 years, right?
2024, yeah, 2024, yes.
Right. Macy, why are you supporting Biden-Harris? Because of the lady factor?
The fact that Biden chose Kamala to be the running mate, that made me personally first want to support Biden, because he believes in women. He believes that women can also lead. And the fact that Kamala has been up there trying to show us that even us as young women leaders, we can make it.
Yeah.
That's why.
So it is a gender issue, and bring it home. Are we even ready for that? Like in 2022, for a female deputy, are we ready, or we mostly support it when it is foreign, but when it is home?
I must say, Chris, of that I'm truly disappointed by the women leaders of this country.
Yeah.
That in the BPI debate, they did not insert that requirement at the presidency.
Yeah.
They did insert that at the governorship, which is a great win, and the co-senator in the counties. So we'll have a female senator and a male senator. We'll have if the governor candidate is a man, he must have a woman for a running mate, or if he's a woman, she must have a man for a running mate. Now that is great gender balance. But when you go to the top, the women of this country refuse to push those BBI drafters to have women positions at the top. Now, as it were, let me tell you what I see, the scenario I see in the BBI. Because I think everyone agrees with me, there is no doubt that BBI is going to go through. That there is no doubt about it. Whether you say no or you say no, it's going to go through. There is no debate about that. Let's be clear about that. So since BBI brings a new political spectrum in our country, then the likely players will be the following men. One, president. I'm just saying hypothetically. All right. President Raila Amolo Odinga. And this is again hypothetically. I just want to give the example of the gender here. Raila Amolo Odinga becomes president. He gets a deputy who is Kalonzo Musyoka, and then we get prime minister as Madividi, and then Madividi is given a deputy who is Gideon Moi, and which is the other guy, big boy. Let's go to Coast and pick
Gideon Moi.
I put Gideon. Let's go to Coast and pick this Sultan. Joho. There's no woman there. I haven't mentioned any woman in this mix because the women did not force it that the president must have a running mate for a woman. The prime minister must pick at least one woman among the two deputies. This debate is not complete until the women can ask for that. If they don't, then be our guest. We're going to lead you this country.
CJ, I'd like to just come in and say that, women have a way of bargaining for what they want. Women have a way of knowing the kind of environment that they're bargaining, especially politically. And if there's one thing that they've come to understand is that society, if you ask for too much from society, society tends to reject whatever it is you're asking for in totality. Right. So one of the strategies that I think these women leaders actually employed this time round was to say that let's appear as if we are not asking for too much. Okay. Let's appear as if we're not asking for too much and get that little. Let's appear as if we're asking for little and get that little as we keep pushing. Look at how far women have come, especially from the 2010 constitution. Right. The gains that women got by asking for something that did not look like was too much they ended up getting 47 women representative seats that did not exist,
Right.
that came with a fund, an affirmative action fund. By asking for something that did not appear like it was too much, they ended up getting nominative seats to the Senate, around 16 nominative seats to the Senate. By asking for that little, they got top seats at the county assembly.
Right.
So women are very strategic, knowing very well that they operate in a patriarchal environment where if you tend to ask for too much, you will even the little that you have will be taken away from you. So I have a very strong feeling that this is a strategy, and trust me, look at how these women are coming up, because even with the little that we had, we still managed to produce 3 female governors in the last election. So this is a sign that women are also trusting themselves to the extent where they're saying that even if we do not ask for these big seats, even if we are not going to ask for prime minister and deputy prime minister, we will find a way of negotiating, and you will see us at that particular table.
I want to come back to, I will ask you 2 things,
Yes.
which Macy also will have the liberty to just weigh in on. When you talk about the 3 governors, somewhere along the line, all these 3 governors, was it 3 of them or 2 of them, something?
3, we lost 1.
Nearly getting impeached. You had that in Kitui. You had that in Kirinyaga. So as much as we're getting women governors, they had a lot of issues there as well.
But the same issues are issues that male governors faced. In fact, male governors have been threatened with impeachment much more than the female governors.
Okay, but you're looking at percentages over here, right?
Yes.
But then, now the other issue is that women are the higher population. Why do we keep on saying it's a patriarchal society? Like, why can't they just marshal a revolution? Since they have the numbers, Macy, why should they go through the back door? Why should they keep on trying to cut a small piece? Why not just go straight into it, marshal the numbers that the women have, and pull down this patriarchal society?
I would like to say that for the fact that we are the majority in this country, we have the numbers, and in Kenya, it's been kumekuwa ile tu mwanaume ndio kichwa, and then men have been like blocking us women here up, but we have been trying to let me finish first. We've been trying to work our way up somehow. Right. Like for instance, you see like Anne Waiguru, Charity Ngilu was vying for presidency in 1997.
Yes.
They have been trying to, because we've never seen any woman apart from Ngilu vie as a president of this country.
There was Karua, right?
The fact that the rest of us didn't back her up, or some of us tried, or we were young, we didn't vote for her, didn't mean we don't believe in our fellow women. We believe in our fellow women, but when it comes to men, somehow, wanakuja wanatuchenga tu hapa. Kidogo, tunashtukia tu.
Bijiwe, do you think that women do enough for themselves, really?
I must say that the journey the women journey in our country especially has been a long one in the coming, and I agree with my panelists here that indeed there have been very remarkable women in the past who set the pace. And Mama Ngilu stands out. I mean, she's a superstar. Of course, CJ is asking why the 2 women that remained as governors after we lost Joyce Laboso were all involved in some kind of impeachment process. Actually, that is 100% of the women that were governors. They got there was an attempt.
It is an unfair statistic.
There was an attempt to impeach 100% of the women governors in Kenya. However, I know, it was 100%. However, it also shows something. I mean, Madam Ngilu, of course, fought that impeachment attempt. She's a vicious, calculative fighter, and she fought it. Actually, there were jokes online all over that there were supernatural forces involved in this. Yeah. Some people lost direction where they were going. Whether that's true or not, the thing is, she put everything that she had into the fight. And that shows you what Ngilu is. Even from 97, she was on the table of men, fighting, leading the fight for women. And I would ask the women of this country, I mean, I have daughters, even one that I've given birth to and others that I mentor. I have, sisters, I have women who look up to me as their leader. I always challenge them that it's time you stand up. It's time you take your chance. And now with this new BBI opening in the political sphere, truly I don't mind that we have a female president, even a deputy president who's female, because again, this thing men have done in the BBI, it could turn against us one day.
Yeah.
God forbid, Chris. But this happened in Rwanda. There was a war. Almost all men died. And now, until today, the parliament has more female, more women than men. Yeah. It's actually men who do affirmative action in Rwanda so they can get more positions. Yeah. God forbid that we had such a situation here. What if you woke up, there was female president, deputy female president, prime minister female, deputies. I mean, it's our making, men. I mean, it's our bed. We're going to lie on it if we don't take care. And I challenge the women of this country to stand up and it's their day. Go for it, girls.
All right. Ruth, you know, there has been a lot of apprehensiveness, especially among, and I started with saying that the people who were pro-Trump in the US, over here, they're anti-BBI for some reason.
Yes.
Even people that I know have not read anything. They'll just go like, we are anti-BBI. And mostly that is the faith community. What do you think are the fears that the faith community has? What are the myths that have been sold to them that they need to know the truth about, so that they're not scared about this document? They just keep on hearing there's a BBI that is coming and we're going to vote it down. Yeah. What are some of these myths that you think they...
you know, I think the faith-based community's fears first and foremost come in from the fact that they don't feel like they were fully involved in the process in comparison to the 2010 constitution-making process, as well as the 2005 constitution-making process. The involvement back then and now is a bit different. So there's already that feeling that, you know, because we did not feel like we were fully part of the process, but I do agree that some of them went before the task forces and gave their views, but I still feel like maybe they could have gotten a bigger share in terms of gotten more time, more avenues to contribute to the process. Right. So I think some of their fears are coming from the fact that maybe we were not involved in the process, and so our concerns have not been taken care of. But some of the myths that are coming and that people should think about is the first biggest myth being that, oh, we do not need this process, that most of the propositions that are being made within the report are propositions that do not necessarily need a referendum or a constitutional change. Right. And just to respond to that, you know, the Constitution itself prescribes within Article 254 and 255 and 56 on aspects of the Constitution that for us to change, we have to go to a referendum. Yes. And some of these changes that we are proposing, that are being proposed within the BBI, for example, an increase of a revenue allocation to counties from 15% to 35%, actually do require, you know, a constitutional amendment. And then we also have the changes within the governance structure, the whole introduction of leader of opposition, prime minister position. We have to now change our constitution because we are even now changing the roles. We are taking off some roles from the leader of majority to the prime minister. So that requires us to go through a constitutional change. And then the other myths that I have seen people really bring about is that there's this whole conversation about this is a document that was meant to resolve issues this is a document that was unnecessary because these were just two individuals who had issues amongst themselves that could be resolved without necessarily us having this process. But we are forgetting that by the time we were coming up with the Building Bridges Initiative process, Kenya was at the brink of breaking apart. And Kenya has been at the brink of breaking apart for so many elections that we've had in the past. And so therefore this is coming to try and give us, remember that there is no democracy that is perfect. Even as we talk about the American elections, we are seeing the imperfections in the system, you know. A few moments before the elections results were announced, we saw Trump holding a press conference and declaring himself a winner. So, and we are seeing what's happening across African countries. Tanzania held their elections, and we see how, we can see some irregularities in their democracy.
Ivory Coast had more than 100%.
Ivory Coast had more than 100%. I mean, explain how, and even Tanzania, explain how in an entire country, over 200 MPs are from government side and only about 20 or 18 are from the opposition, and there are so many political parties that were representing the opposition, you know. So there is no perfect democracy, and so therefore this is an attempt, much as people would want to say it was two people who are fighting amongst each other, we are forgetting that these are two people who are commanding communities behind them, people who are commanding masses of people, and not just two tribes. various communities coalescing around them, and communities that would, had we not had this handshake and the Building Bridges initiative process, these are people who would have resorted to fighting. Don't forget that at some point we even had communities saying we want to secede from this particular country. And so basically the document, as people say, was to resolve issues between two people. We are forgetting the divisive elections we've had. We are forgetting the questions of inclusivity inclusivity issues that we've always had for a long time. The fact that our elections have always been violent because of the winner take it all mentality, you know. And basically the other myth that is going around is that, you know, and maybe it could be a valid concern, is that, you know, we, as a country right now, it's a very sensitive issue, that as a country right now, our debt is very high. We don't have, a lot of people are saying we don't have money. Government has severally declared that, you know, we really do not have money, and therefore people are terming this process as one that would be expensive. But from where I sit, I'm looking at it in the sense that we are saying it's going to be an expensive process, but if you look at it in terms of what it intends to cure, looking at it in terms of the fact that as a country during elections we lose billions and billions of shillings because of the uncertainty around elections, you know, people, investor confidence going down, businesses shutting down when we have violence, and even when we don't have violence, just that mere uncertainty that will we have peace, you know, foreign investors withdrawing from the country, and foreign investment going down, you know, tourism, basically the economy usually suffers a shake because of that uncertainty. So when you look at what we stand to lose if we do not implement these changes versus the cost of that particular referendum, then a reasonable person would say, let's have this referendum and resolve these issues, and amongst very many other concerns that people do have.
But you were in the Mount Kenya region, and I know that you would be very conversant with the dealings there, especially, again, with your involvement in Meru, which has been nearly like the heart of the DP. What is all this apprehension about the BBI? Because the president tried even to tour Nyeri, and the guys just think, if he's coming to talk about BBI, we want nothing to do with him. What is the issue right there?
First, the DP, the deputy president, endeared himself to, the masses, but mainly the church. And dear church, I mean, one church that is very vocal, the Pentecostal movement,
right?
The evangelical movement. When you use evangelical, you could debate, it's neither here nor there, because some evangelicals are almost with the mainliners. But the Pentecostal movement almost embraced the DP. Now they use the religious lenses to define him as God sent. So when he's God sent, then whatever he says is from God. And therefore, the explanation why the church won't actually care what is in the BBI, they'll care what the DP says, who is God's servant. And the DP is a master of playing church. He will read the scriptures. I saw him tweet a scripture the other day. I don't know, our strength is small and all that. And then he has even taught Ichungwa. He has taught Ichungwa to quote the Bible. Goodness Lord, Moses Kuria can quote the Bible. Hallelujah. Moses Kuria quotes the Bible now. And of course, the gentleman who calls himself Hustler Nation spokesperson, Itumbi. Itumbi quotes the Bible perfectly because he was actually a born-again believer. I know him from high school. Right. So he knows how to... Some of the scriptures that DP tweets are actually quoted by Itumbi for DP. So DP has stood like this, man of God, servant of God. And that explains 100% why the church will not listen to anyone else but to the DP, including church leaders who are supposed to hear from God. They will rather hear from DP, who is apparently hearing from God on their behalf.
Is that why then the people who are anti-BBI here, standing for Trump in the US, because they both...
There's sort of a connection.
Exactly.
They both believe...
Exactly, because in this country, I have done my own sampling. Sometimes I've even posted very controversial thoughts on my Facebook and let people talk. Like one day I said, very honestly on Facebook, I said, we need to regulate the church in this country. We need to put laws that require you to build a good church, that if you're going to lead more than 100 people, you need to go through a form of training, a degree, a certificate, because this is people management. This used to happen when I was in the military. Yeah. When you lead 3 people, you're called a lance corporal in the military, and you have to attend a lance corporal's course to lead 3 soldiers. Right. When you multiply 3 to 9, that becomes a platoon, it becomes a section. And you have to go for a corporal's course, full corporal, to learn how to lead 9 people. You multiply that by 3, you get 20-something. You have to go for a sergeant's course to learn how to lead a platoon. Now, it's only in church where you just wake up and say, Mimi nimeitwa, I've been called, I've been anointed. I put those thoughts on my Facebook and said, maybe we need to have a discussion. Then I said, when you pay taxes in this country, as a Christian, you should be separated from those people who give to charity. So if you donate your money as a Christian to a charity cause, get a tax deductible receipt that you file with your taxes at the Kenya Revenue Authority, so you don't have to pay taxes to Caesar and to God at the same time. Yeah. So Jesus said, give to Caesar to what belongs to Caesar and to God. Those thoughts, man, I was bashed. I pulled down that post because this country is deeply religious. That is why the DP just needs to say, God tells me we should not pass this katiba, and it's done. It's done. Uhuru na Baba, they have to fight so hard to make him change the statement that actually God has changed his mind. He's now telling me we can pass the BBI. That's the discussion we have.
But Macy, why is your generation especially, why your generation mostly, are the people who are saying, we don't want these things like BBI. This is just 2 people trying to stay in power. There is the thinking that Uhuru wants to come back as a prime minister. You know, the arrangements that were being done in Russia at some point. Yes. So you're not the president, then you come back as a powerful prime minister and all of that. Why is your generation gravitating towards the anti-BBI?
First, I realized that most of the people of my generation, they have not read the BBI. Right. And they are out here opposing it. Why? Because the DP is opposing. Or maybe he seems to be like opposing. Secondly, I've also realized that the same people, they are the ones who voted for the president twice. And they were outside here telling us, oh, we are for completing this journey with Uhuru. Oh, we must finish. The same way they agreed to vote for the president. It means that they agreed to his ideologies and they subscribed to them. So, I would like to ask the young people, go through the BBI, thoroughly read, understand, and come together, because whether we like it or not, I would like to quote someone else said, ati, hii kitu ni kama dawa. Whether you like it or not, mutakunywa. Whether by mdomo, whether by tutawapea kwa mdomo, whether tutawekea kwa sindano, or whichever means. So, just usiopozi kitu. Just come, read. And also, I would like to say that
well,
before,
if you want to oppose, oppose, but have your reasons to oppose. You're free to oppose.
I would like to add that you see, before Uhuru and Raila came together for the handshake, we had so many people in the streets. We were in crisis, literally, and the fact that they came together, they came up with BBI. Shows us that if our 2 leaders, the opposition leader and the president, are willing to come together for the best of this country. That's why unasikia slogan for BBI, Kenya moja, inclusivity. Yeah?
I know that they've done it. I know that in the contents there is inclusivity, there is the issue of the shared prosperity, there is the issue of the divisive politics. But for the first time, at least in my memory, and I've lived a bit, for the first time, a president and his deputy, while in office, are publicly disagreeing.
And now I ask this question. Let's put William Ruto, the deputy president of the Republic of Kenya, in the same spot where Uhuru Kenyatta is today. Flip him, he's the president. Would he accept the character of a deputy president like the one he's displaying right now? That is the $1 million question. Would he go to bed knowing his deputy is in Moranga, doing a massive rally where he passed himself and only 10 people waved at him? Would he be able to do that? Yeah. Would he? Yeah. That's $1 million question.
But then now, so where did we lose this thing? Ruth, tell me, do you think that there were issues already between these two gentlemen, the DP and the president, and the coming in of Raila just exposed it, or Raila is really the issue?
You know, I feel that there was some level of insecurity that came from the deputy president the moment the president and Raila Odinga shook hands. I have a feeling that had the deputy president just supported the agenda of the president, the handshake would probably have just ended at the handshake, you know, because the moment the two shook hands, that insecurity that probably the arrangement they had in 2013 would be shortchanged is what came to play. That, you know, you two are shaking hands and yet we are in opposing teams, and we had promised that kumi yangu, kumi yako, you know. I think the insecurity arose immediately after the handshake. But when you look at the intentions of the president at that particular time, all the president wanted was a unified country, you know. And I have a strong feeling that just like the president himself expressed and said that we were running a race, we were all headed the same direction. And as I turned back, I saw the person I was supposed to give the baton to was running backwards, you know. There was a deep message that the president was communicating. Yes. There seemed to be a message of the president. For me, it sounded as if the president was saying, I would have actually honored. I'm not saying that he has made up his mind, but from the look of things, he seems to have made up his mind. He seemed to be communicating that had you stuck with me in this journey, I would have actually honored my original promise to you of having 10 years and you taking on 10 years. Now, the biggest mistake he made was, as Mbijiwe has just put it, campaigning right after an election. Because I remember he began this Tanga, you know, started in 2018. Right. And 2018 was literally, because the handshake came in February 2018. 2018 was literally 6 or 7 months, not even 7 months, about 6 months after the elections. How do you start campaigning 6 months after the elections? How do you expect your agenda? Because remember, the two of them had an agenda, had a manifesto to deliver, had a big 4 plan to deliver. How do you expect that particular agenda and manifesto and whatever plans you have to be delivered when you're already, you know, thinking of the race ahead of you, and Ruth, you had a promise.
Ruth, let me add there very, very painfully, and I'm so grateful that you brought it to the point of manifesto and agenda. These two gentlemen campaigned in 2013. Oh, I remember the euphoria. Digital. You know, those old men, those old men in my countryside who can't say digital, do say digital.
Yeah.
They hypnotized our thoughts and minds with this digital future that we are going to. Actually, they made our kids believe that there will be computers in class from the year 2014, meaning class 1, 2014, class then 2015, 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019, we're in 2020. Look, had God helped these people to stick to their dream, today when COVID came, I didn't need to buy a computer for my child at home. Yeah. They had said they'll give every child, up to the child in year 8, in year 7 right now, would have had a computer at home. COVID came, and now we have hundreds and thousands of kids in Turkana, in Meru, in Vihiga, who are just sitting at home. Yeah. It is 7 months since COVID, schools were closed, and they can't learn, they can't do what. The other day I had a child from Meru call me, and they only know me on radio. He said, please, sir, if you can buy me a smartphone so I can use it to follow View Sasa. Masharia is more of a digital guy, the guy from Raw Media, the one with View Sasa. Yeah. He went digital to educate Kenya. President Uhuru Kenyatta and his deputy William Samoei Arap Ruto told us digital, and now Ruto, guess what Ruto is doing? It's a mockery of this country. He's giving people wheelbarrows. You have moved from digital to giving us wheelbarrows. Sometimes people should know if you mock God, He's going to mock you back.
But Mercy, the younger people are saying, we are hungry, and the wheelbarrow is what we have. So we would rather have the wheelbarrow and make money.
But they reduce the weight, before Mercy comes in, they reduce the weight of the dream from digital to wheelbarrow. It's an embarrassment.
So who is to blame for this? Who is to blame? Is it the leader? Is it the people? Because, see, we have a generation that is more exposed. We have a generation that is more educated. We have a generation that is more mixed up. Like, it's not like the past where you would say, this is totally Kikuyu, this is totally Luya or something. We've grown up among each other. So we have a generation more exposed, more intermixed, more educated and all of that. But if the dream, as Mbijiwe is saying, has been downgraded, whom do you blame? Do you blame the leader? Do you blame the young people who are the majority who are following that?
Personally, I would blame the leader, more so the DP. His main work is to support the president, support him in his decisions. And for a fact that Uhuru is coming to his tenure and term, Ruto should be behind him, yeah? Supporting his projects everywhere. Si maneno ya kupelekea vijana wheelbarrows huko, sijui wakasukume nini, ama wakafanye nini. The fact that he's always holding meetings in Karen, haumuoni, he's supposed to be behind the president. When the president is launching Barabara Kisumu, Ruto should be in Machakos, launching hospitals, cancer centers there, providing us with a lot of things that we need.
But he says he's going round for empowerment. So he comes into the marketplaces, he comes into places. They've now begun.
I think for me, whenever I think about this wheelbarrow debate, yes, I try to avoid looking at it from the wheelbarrow itself, yeah? I try to think of it in terms of the fact that he is at liberty to do whatever he wants to do. Yeah. He is at liberty to decide that today I'm going to give women brooms to sweep the villages if that is what he thinks will get him elected. But my biggest concern is the fact that as a deputy president, and especially one who has not stepped down, so meaning one who constitutionally is supposed to be part of government, constitutionally is supposed to help the president come up with policies to eliminate some of these problems that he's trying to resolve via means that are not necessarily progressive. For me, I think of it in terms of the deputy president's role right now. Had he been very serious about empowerment, if truly empowerment was at the core of his heart, he should have been at the core of trying to come up with policy that would actually ensure that unemployment is resolved completely. When we talk about the young people and saying that, the young people have said they want wheelbarrows, we are boxing the young people into one category of, for instance, young people who've graduated and have looked for jobs for a long time and do not have them, or young people who have very minimal education or no education whatsoever, and so that is the only source of income they can think about. What about the young people who are in universities right now, who are thinking of graduating next year, right, and their courses demand that once I have graduated, I need to get a job, that I cannot even start a business? What about young people who have started serious businesses that have got nothing to do with wheelbarrows and pushing of carts and any other thing that is below the status of their businesses? What about them, How do you ensure that you have created an enabling environment for them and their businesses to thrive? How do you ensure that as a deputy president, you're at the forefront of coming up with policy and implementation mechanisms that ensure that those who are looking for jobs can have those particular jobs, that the country can generate enough jobs for the young people? So for me, I reduce that conversation and how I wish young people can look at it from that particular point of view. The point of view that not all of us are going to need that wheelbarrow. Some of us are going to need jobs within the legal department. Some of us need to get into public service. And if I'm looking at a leader who is progressive, I would be thinking of a leader who tells me we have come up with these particular mechanisms to ensure that government agencies are generating 500 new jobs every other 6 months or 1,000 new jobs every other year. So that, and these 1,000 new jobs, we are going to ensure that 500 of them are going to the young people. Right. That way I can trust that if I am graduating, I am getting a job. If I am, and over and above getting jobs, if the deputy president can tell me that, look, if you're running a business, this is how we're going to make the environment conducive for you. And that is why I like the BBI coming in up with the proposals of saying that, young people running businesses should have a 7-year tax holiday. That for me is a bit more progressive, so that even this Mkokoteni person is thinking, as I am graduating, as I'm trying to climb up, because I'm sure that is not their ultimate dream, as I'm graduating and climbing up and thinking of how I become a better person, of how I can feed my family even better and sustain myself better, how is there a conducive environment for me to even start my business around that Mkokoteni business and thrive in the process, So for me, the role of the deputy president should not be to come up with how do I put it, popcorn solutions to problems that we are facing, and solutions that look more populist as opposed to realistic and as opposed to innovative solutions. We came up with a vision 2030 that was saying that, by 2030 that Kenya will be a highly industrialized country that is offering the highest quality of life for its citizens. And one of the pillars of Vision 2030 was ICT and technology. Yeah. Why not tell us that, within ICT and technology, we are going to come up with these particular measures and plans and labs for young people within mashinani areas to grow and get jobs, So how do we come up with plans that are seeking to get us to an industrialized country, and yet our implementation strategies are taking us back, you know?
Yeah.
So for me, it's more about, less about the wheelbarrow itself, and more about, can we think progressively? Yes.
All right.
Can I add something? No, this is very fundamental. The beautiful lady here is bringing the concept of the wheelbarrow, not as the physical thing, but the symbolism in it.
Yes.
Now, Dr. William Samoei Arap Ruto is also increasing the debate of class competition and class crash in a political system by introducing the wheelbarrow. What he has done, immediately the moment a wheelbarrow shows up on the scene, it divides the haves and the have-nots. The have-nots. It divides the poor and the rich. It divides the millions of average life Kenyans to the few Kenyans, young men who have worked hard to become technopreneurs, and by the grace of God have been like one Kenyan who's running Microsoft East Africa. He's a young man of 27 years. How do you call that boy, what is the other opposite of have-nots? They say the dynasty.
Yes.
How do you call that young man a dynasty
Yeah.
who worked?
Yeah.
I'm avoiding some American language.
He's
What is it? Worked so hard to become the technopreneur that he is today, to lead, to earn what he has. He worked hard at it. Then you call him a dynasty. Now, let me show you in 1 second. Ruto's division of class is going to give us a problem. There is a writer called Karl Marx. He's written many books, but in one book he talked about the sociological division of the society, how society is divided between very rich people, whom we call the bourgeoisie, then the middle class, whom we call the proletarians, and then it came down to the peasants and some people called lumpen, very poor people. Now, what Karl Marx said is that the bourgeoisie are a class of a few men who actually own the means of production. That's a fundamental statement. When you own the means of production, it means it's you that has the capital. You have the capital, you have the money, you have the market, you have you control the labor market. And let me tell you, in every society, whether you talk of hustler and dynasty, society will always rearrange itself like that. Even if you take 100 million, let's say 10,000 poor people right now, all of the same level, and put them together, give them 1 year, they will rearrange into those classes. A few become bourgeoisie, go to the prison cell, where they have jailed the inmates. They actually have bourgeoisie there. Yes. Guys who run shows from their telephones, they have business empires right from prison cell. Because society does not allow all of us to be the same class. Yeah. In fact, if you take all of us in this room right now and say, we give you 5-10 minutes to decide which of you can lead, you just see it. You see her talking, apostle will show up, you see leadership showing up. You become the chairman, you become the secretary. Because that's how we are created. Now, this class war that Deputy President is talking about is going to sink this country to a civil war.
Yes.
Because the have-nots are made to believe that we don't have because someone took it from us.
Yes.
Some people have money in Nairobi because they stole our money. Now, the Deputy President himself, and I'll say this categorically, and I want to be quoted, belongs to the class of those that have.
Yes.
He's a bourgeoisie. He was mentored as a bourgeoisie. So he cannot tell us the hustler.
He says he didn't have a famous father. That's the story that people
John
have.
Kenyatta, the father of Kenyatta, who is the father of Kenyatta, did not also have a famous father. He was a poor man.
Yes.
Jaramogi Oginga's father was a poor man. Then he came back to Jaramogi, who was an average man, who came back to Raila Odinga, who is also trying to make it. So we all came from hustling somewhere. Come on.
All right. We need to close this. We just need to close this. And we're going to have a part 2 of this because today, somewhere along the line, as we kept on going, I realized I needed to have one serious anti-BBI. I needed to have somebody who totally has no time for the BBI. I was just realizing that while we were going on, and I was texting my assistant and saying, you needed to have put somebody who's anti-BBI. But well, the thing is not, to take sides. I create the conversation. As we always say, we set up the jury. The verdict is always with you. And even this conversation stirs up the conversations that you need to have. The most important part of this conversation right now is for you to go back and read that whole document. And then where you cannot understand, get somebody to explain it to you objectively. After that, you are free to both support or oppose. That is up to you. But do not just go because somebody that you admire or somebody that you think is a leader to you has either endorsed it or opposed it, then you just begin to take up those very strong positions. Well, I hope you subscribe to the YouTube channel as well. Please share this stream. For those who did not get to watch it while we were doing it right now, probably they get it from your wall. Until the next time, this is CJ Scott. Keep it right here. See you.